right, today, income lending versus growth lending. What is the difference, right? Isn't the whole point to get income? Yeah, definitely. But these two strategies have very different goals, and you have to structure your loans and your loan portfolio accordingly.
Go, 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 go!
So, we're going to talk about how to match these strategies to your lifestyle and your goals, and which strategies make more sense for you in terms of income lending versus growth lending, depending on where you're trying to go, right? Because not all private money lending is the same. We're going to break down the difference between income and growth lending. And then hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to decide where to start. And it may be that you transition later, but let's get started. Income lending is really about doing private money loans to create cash flow. Okay. Now, these are the people who are like, look, I'm looking to get monthly payments coming in on a regular, so that I can replace my income or supplement my income on a regular cadence. Okay. These type of private money lenders tend to do longer term loans. Okay. They're either doing longer term loans or they're doing multiple loans at the same time that are kind of staggered. For example, we have some people in our private money lending collective who do 15, 20-year loans. Okay. Now, if you are setting up something like this in your business, you're definitely looking to have consistent income over time. So you're more focused on income than growth, right? And of course, you can still get growth out of that, but the real focus is cash flow from a month to month basis. Another way to do it is, maybe you're doing 3-year loans, but you're starting them in a staggered way. So like, let's say you do 5 loans and let's say you do 4 loans in a year, right? And they're each 3 years. In January, you do a loan, that one's 3 years. And then let's say in April, you do another 3-year loan. Q3, you do another 3-year loan. Q4, you do your last 3-year loan. What you're doing is literally staggering that income so that it's constantly coming in, right? So you're setting up your portfolio in such a way that the money that comes in every month can be used to repay the loan and fund your lifestyle. Okay. This is usually used by people who are closer or already in retirement, right? So the people that I know who are really looking at income lending are people who want to live off of the loans in retirement, but maybe they didn't have enough in their retirement to pay them to cover their lifestyle, or maybe they had enough for financial independence, but not enough for financial freedom, and they're needing to supplement their income, and they're using private money lending to do that. These types of income loans can be interest only, they can be principal plus interest, but the main thing here is they're paid on a regular cadence, and it doesn't always have to be monthly, right? Because you're a private money lender, you can structure this payment with the borrower however works for you too, right? I have a borrower who pays weekly, and then I know people who have borrowers who pay every other month. It's however it works for you to set it up. One thing to keep in mind though about income-based lending is you're going to have to service the loan or find someone to service the loan. When I say service the loan, I mean someone who makes sure that those payments are coming in, that they are being allocated properly, especially if you've done something like escrowed property taxes or something like that, or even insurance. You're definitely going to need a servicer to make sure that the money is being properly applied to each account. You're probably going to need some bookkeeping services, or if you love bookkeeping, you can do it yourself, because you're going to have to separate the principal that comes in from the interest that comes in, unless of course you're doing interest only. And so those are some things to think about on the maintenance side of doing income-based lending. But again, this type of lending is for people who are more concerned with cash flow over portfolio growth. Now, when we talk about growth-based lending, which is my primary strategy, right? Like I like income-based lending, but for this stage in my life, I'm more focused on growth-based lending. Now, what that looks like is shorter term loans that require less work from me, right? So when I do a loan, I'm looking at 8 months or less, right? I'm focused on growing my lending pot as fast as possible, right? Because more often than not, I'm lending from my IRA, okay, my individual retirement account, and I'm looking to build that up to be as big as possible, okay, as fast as possible. I have my reasons, but sometimes I also lend from a business or my personal savings, but for the most part, I'm looking to build up that fund so that I can deploy that money in other places. Okay. I do short-term loans because I'm focused on growing my lending pot as opposed to cash flow. And the way that I structure those loans is mostly balloon payments, right? So with growth based lending, you can still set up monthly payments, weekly payments, or whatever you want. But for me, because I'm not interested in really servicing a loan, I set up balloon payments for those loans, right? So it's very much a bit of work on the front end, some due diligence, making sure things are secured and good, walking away, coming back when it's time for repayment, right? Absolutely, there's check-ins in between, making sure you're communicating with the borrower about what's going on and getting updates on the project. But since it's more focused on growth, I'm not getting that monthly or weekly or whatever income for those growth-based loans. I'm more getting something big at the end, and then I'm taking that and I'm redeploying it into something else so that I can turn it around quickly. The growth-based lending is really focused on turning over the funds as quickly as possible so that you can redeploy it and get into something else, right? It's focused on growth. I hope that makes sense. So these two different strategies have very different goals. You can have a mix of them. So you can have some loans in your portfolio that are focused on income generation and cash flow. And then you can have some loans in your portfolio that are more focused on growth. And you can kind of have those going at the same time, right? Depending on your goals. So you're really matching the strategy to your goals and your lifestyle, right? So my goal, early retirement, but I have to also plan for future me, right? Because even if I retire early, doesn't mean I can access my retirement funds. And if I retire early, I don't have money going in through my employer with a match and all that. And so I'm being aggressive with those funds so that I can grow them faster. When I am in that early retirement phase, I may shift a bit to focus more on income based lending because I'll have replaced my income, right? And so I may want to supplement that. I may want to have some loans in my portfolio that are generating that monthly income that I can live off of, as opposed to only having growth based loans. So not all private money lending is the same. That's the real nugget here. And you really have to decide how you want to set things up based on where you're going and what kind of lifestyle you want to live. Now, again, I'm not interested in servicing loans at this time. Doesn't really fit my schedule and my lifestyle, but there may come a time where that does work for me and I may shift strategies. So once you choose a strategy, you are not locked in. You can always add another, you can always completely flip, you can structure it how you want. And that's the kind of beauty and freedom that comes with this space anyway, right? That's what we love about private money lending.